Hello everyone. In this lecture we're going to learn how to create more complex shapes by using the modifiers. So let's get inside this viewport. Let's hit the G key and let's click on the box option. Press Ctrl and create a proportional shape box. Now let's hit the right click to finish our command. And now I'm going to right click and convert this to Edit Poly. Now the modifier that we're going to see, it's called Symmetry. So let's type in Symmetry. And what it's really doing, it's mirroring my geometry. So I can also tell it which axis I want this mirroring to happen. So I'm going to select the Y for now. I'm also going to open the symmetry selection and go to my mirror. And if I move the axis of my mirror, I can have a twin from my original shape. So let's go back to my Edit Poly. And let's actually move to the clay view and also press F4. Now what I want to do is just to bend this a bit so that we end up with a more complex shape. We're going to be designing a lamp. So let's head over to our edge options. Let's pick all of these edges. And now let's go to our edit edges section. Let's click on the settings. And let's create some more edges like so. Put in a FFD 4x4 modifier on top of our editable poly. Now let's open the control points. I'm going to select all of the points which are basically at the center of the geometry, and now I'm going to head to my top view. Let's change the perspective mode to orthographic. Now I haven't unselected any of my control points, so by using the X and Y axis, I'm just going to drag this out like so in a 45-degree angle, more or less. So I'm going to just bend this geometry like so. Now let's head back to our mirror, and inside our mirror I'm going to drag this axis. Now I'm going to stack another symmetry modifier. So let's type in symmetry, and I'm going to unselect my Z axis, and now I'm going to go for the X axis. Flip this, go inside the mirror, select my movement gizmo and just drag it out like so. So I end up with something like this. Now on top of everything, I'm going to go ahead and type in the Edit Poly modifier too. And for now, I'm going to select all of my faces up here just to create some kind of supports that will hold the weight of this lamp design. I'm going to hit the polygon. I'm going to select all the four faces on top of this, and what I want to basically do is just to split these faces. I can do that by going down here in Edit Geometry, and I'm going to choose the slice plane. Move the slice plane all the way up here and rotate it with 90 degrees. I'm going to hit the E key and now my A to activate my snap, and just give it 90 degrees on the X axis. Slice it here, more or less in the middle. Let's drag it over here and slice it again. Now I'm going to rotate it by hitting the E key again, like so, perpendicular to the other one. And I'm going to slice it here, hit the W key, and slice it again at this point. I'm going to deactivate my slice plane, select the polygons from this corner right here. Right click and extrude. Probably give it around 40 centimeters. Select the vertex from the top, and with my R key, I'll be able to scale this down. I can also stack another modifier, this time an FFD 2x2. I'm going to go to my control points, hit my W key, make it a little bit smaller. Alright, now what it needs is a bulb and also maybe a cable that goes down with the bulb. So let's go to the positive icon, let's select the shapes, and let's go for a line. Here I'm going to give the silhouette of a bulb very roughly like this. And I'm going to go to my modifiers and head to my interpolation options. Type in 100 for this one, and also if I press my 1 key, I can still edit this better. Let's play around with the curvature options. And now you guessed it, we're going to be using the lathe modifier. Move this axis in the X axis. And also let's add some more segments, 64, so that we end up with a very smooth bulb. Let's go to our back view, and now I want to add just a cable for this bulb, and it's really simple to do. I'm just going to go to my shapes and add it with a line. Press F3 just to see through this bulb. With my shift key, I'm just going to take it all the way to the top. Go to our modifiers list, and inside our rendering tab up here I can enable the rendering in the viewport. Now the thickness might be a bit too much, just reduce it a bit to 0.8, and now let's place it in the center of this lamp. Let's go to the top view like this, center it there. Actually drag it a little bit up here and fix the height from this line by going into the vertex. Now let's select both of them, and there we go. Now let's add some more supports up here. I'm going to do that by going into my standard primitives and adding a box. Select my auto grid so that my shape doesn't start from the construction plane, which is my grid down here, but it's actually going to grab the top base from our lamp as a starting point for the creation, like so. Let's turn it into an edit poly and play around with the vertex just to center them. I'm going to grab my top face, delete it, and with my 3 key, I'll activate the border and hit my R key just like we've done before. By holding shift, I can extrude this like so. Okay, so I'm just adding an extra support there. So this extra shape will basically hold my whole lamp up here. Now it's looking a bit too rough. We could use maybe a turbo smooth, but I don't think it would do the job. So let's look for a chamfer. And now it looks a little bit more decent. Let's just play around with the settings here and reduce the amount and also add a little bit more segments to it. This actually can be a little bit higher. There we go. Now just to add a bit more detail, I could add some chains up here. So I'm going to go back to my back view. Now let's go to our plus icon and let's go for splines. Here we can select the rectangle option and let's just make a rectangle like so. Enable the rendering viewport. In order to have some vertices showing for this rectangle, we have to transform it to an edit spline. To convert to editable spline, and now I have the usual options. Pick all of the vertices, and now in my geometry tab I can fill it the edges here. Now let's go back, actually go to interpolation and make this 100. Now it has this ellipse shaped. I want to get rid of it. Let's use the vertices and just move them closer like this. Okay, and now I'm going to go to my rendering tab again and enable in viewport. Let's stay in the radial option and add some more thickness. Now I'm going to just copy this and move it up here, and now with my E key I'll rotate it 90 degrees. Remember to have your angle snaps on. Pick both of them, and I'm going to hit my F3 just to see through this. With my Y axis I'm just going to drag it like so. Tell it that I want to create some instances and I want to make 10 copies of this. Let's hit OK. Alright, now let's just place it on top of our lamp shape. Alright, so if you want to be a bit more precise about this, you can still play around with the vertices and the segments from this chain that we've created. But for now, let's just leave it as it is. It's up to you if you want to keep on practicing with this task. In the next lecture, we're going to see some more modifiers and how we can use the spline section to create some more complex geometries. So until then.